All right, 6 o'clock. Start the meeting. Do we have a quorum?
Yes, sir, we do.
All right.
Item 2, public comment. I do not have any public comment forms at this time. We will move on to item 3, consent agenda.
I'll take a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
We got a second? All right, motion passes.
Were we missing one?
There we go. Okay. Motion passes.
Moving on to agenda item 4A, Director of Planning and Development Services, presentation on status of development projects in the City of Fate.
All right. Good evening, members of the Planning and Zoning Commission. It's very nice to see you all tonight. And Tammy, welcome aboard. It's nice to have you join us. My name is Ryan Wells. I'm the Director of Planning and Development Services. And since we didn't have anything else on the agenda tonight other than a couple consent items, I thought what a great opportunity to take a moment and kind of take a look back at some of the things that P&Z has done over the last 18 or so months. And where are they today? What's going on with them now? I'd like to do this maybe once a year, once every 2 years, just to give y'all an update since you are kind of in the inside baseball side of things. But, you know, once things go beyond your desk and over to council, sometimes you lose track of things. And so, again, tonight it's just a quick overview of projects that you probably have seen at some point, or at least you maybe know about, and give you an update on what's been going on with them. All right, so again, we're going to be reviewing upcoming projects and those underway at the City of Fate, primarily those that are underway. We have those that have just recently been across the dais, but we actually don't have any upcoming projects in this particular case. This is a presentation that I revisit or revamp from time to time. In other cases, we do have upcoming projects. And at the end of this, actually, I wanted to take a moment to review and maybe correct a few development myths that you kind of hear, I've heard around, just very, very high level type of things, but maybe explain a little bit more about how things actually do happen in the City of Fate as far as, you know, in their planning department, and maybe just dispel a couple of myths or misunderstandings that either you, probably not you, because you kind of know how things are done, but maybe some members of the community might not know about. So, since about July of 2024, the Planning and Zoning Commission has been busy. You've seen 2 preliminary plats, you've seen 5 final plats, 15 zoning cases, 7 specific use permits, 3 type 3 site plans, and 1 long-range plan. So that's just been in the last 18 or so months. So that's quite a bit of work, and I thank you for all your good work on those items. We do have an active projects map. When somebody out in the community or yourselves are wondering, you know, what's being built at so-and-so, you see some dirt moving or you see the initial framework of a building, you might be curious what it is. And if you're not on P&Z, it's a little bit tougher to know about what that is. So Robbie, you can just talk from there if you want, is gonna do just a brief kind of video of the active projects map, how you get to it, how you can learn from it, and you can share with your friends and colleagues about how to get some information from our website on active projects.
I actually can.
Okay. Oh, okay, very good.
Well, the guy does a presentation, he needs to be able to. Okay, so I got creative and messed around with screen recording. Can you see that on everybody's screen?
Yep.
Perfect. So, here we go. So to access our active projects map, you'll come to the City of Fate main website and go down to departments. And you'll click on the planning and development page. You can also get to that just by Googling it. Off to the left side, you'll see maps, plans, and reports, and you're going to click on that link right there. And there, really clear for you, is the active projects map. That's going to bring you to this interactive map. Similar to our zoning map, we made this one interactive. And you can see on here a bunch of dots that are different projects, and they correlate to this table down here at the bottom. I don't show it, but the table goes up and down. You can bring it up and bring it back down with an arrow in the center. You can see descriptions. These are called attributes, and those might be a little difficult to read. So when you click on it, it pops up this easy to read pop-up. Now you can see the project ID, the project name, in this case, 5-star storage fate, project description. Can zoom in if you want using the manual, either your mouse or the buttons up at the top. It tells you the type, the status, the parcel ID if you're interested in that. And of course, you can search by address in the address bar. So in a second here, yeah, so there's your description, your type. Perfect. You can see it highlights the button as well in that blue circle. And so maybe I want to go find the high school. So you can see that's green because that's an institutional type of use. So it's institutional civic, so it's a different project type. If I hit the zoom to button on the pop-up, it takes me automatically to that point. So if you struggle with the screen, with the scrolling a little bit, you can always use zoom in. So that's our active projects map. Invite anyone listening in, P&Z, to go check it out. We tend to update that thing monthly.
Thanks, Robbie. Appreciate it. How do I get out of this part, though? Here we are trying to get fancy. Okay, thanks. Okay, so we're going to jump into the projects now. Some of these, again, might be pretty familiar to you. Some might be new. And as I go through this, please just raise your hand and catch my attention. Stop me, because you know how I can get. And ask me some questions about a specific project, or if there's a project, when we get to the end of this, if there's a project that you're aware of or curious about that I haven't covered in this presentation, I'll be happy to give you any information you want right here and now. Robbie and I, we live and breathe these projects, so we know them all pretty well. So, of course, Wood Creek, this is, historically the backbone of Fate, what kind of put Fate literally on the map. At this point, all phases of Wood Creek have been built or are under construction. Phase 8A, as shown by the orange star on the image on the left, that was the last phase to be accepted, and home building is starting up now. Total lots in Wood Creek, all told, is 4,570. That's a lot of homes, and that's actually about a population of about 14,000 people. So that's a significant impact on our community. And so now we have Avondale. This is a 467 single-family residential units over 2 phases. And in all these slides, there's going to be an aerial, and somewhere on this slide that has an orange star. That's just to indicate generally where the project is in relation to the city. Hopefully there's some other recognizable landmarks or roads so you can kind of see in context of the city where the project is. Phase 1, the northern phase of the project up against Highway 66, that's all building homes now. You can drive through it. It looks really nice. Phase 2, infrastructure is currently under construction, so we'll probably see homes building on that toward the end of this year, sometime early next year. Montera, a little bit more to the northwest. That includes 651 single-family residential units over 3 phases. Phase 1 has been building homes for a while. It's pretty close to being done. Phase 2 just started building homes. We just accepted that infrastructure not more than a couple weeks ago. And that has quite a few homes in it, so we'll see some regular, consistent home building in Phase 2 for a while. Phase 3 is to be determined, and most likely we wouldn't see anything in Phase 3 for a while. It's not shown on this figure, but Phase 3, if you can see my mouse, it kind of runs up this way, and it's this property right here. Can you all see that? And so that means they have to cross a pretty deep chasm, and so that means a bridge and like a lot of extra infrastructure work. And I think there are only about maybe 35 houses on the north side. And so generally developers like, oh, I don't see the ROI on that. So it'll take kind of a bigger push to get that extension of Ben Payne and other infrastructure across that creek and moving north. Karen?
Brian, I remember when they came, the Montero folks, and I thought that was to create Phase 3 with the land that was zoned industrial.
Oh, right, yeah.
It needed to be rezoned, and it was, the rezoning was declined.
Was denied, yes.
Is that the to-be-determined Phase 3?
No.
There
No.
literally is a Phase 3
There
that's
is actually a
firm.
Phase 3 entitled for single-family homes.
Thank you.
The property you're referencing is right here on the west side of the Montero neighborhood. That's currently zoned industrial. It was part of the overall Montero project approval, but it's currently zoned kind of light industrial along Stodge Hill Road. There was an attempt, was it last year? Early last year, maybe?
Yeah.
Time flies. To rezone that to basically single-family residential. That was denied at council, but, so it remains industrial at this time. So thank you for bringing that up, to clarify that.
Thank you for answering.
Sure. In the more southeastern quadrant of town, we have Edgewater. This has 601 single-family units over 4 phases. Phases 1 and 2 are mostly built out. There's still some home building taking place in Phase 2. Phase 3 infrastructure is under construction. We're going to see homes going in pretty soon. Phase 4 is to be determined. One key thing that has happened with Edgewater recently is the developer, you know, most infrastructure comes with the developer, so they built Gettysburg Boulevard extension across 551 and going east, but then it stopped right here at the edge of Phase 2. Well, the city felt it was really important for us to extend Gettysburg over to Blackland so there was better connectivity through the city. So we partnered with the developer and got the extension of Gettysburg all the way over to Blackland Road here. We have a nice shiny new roundabout right there at that intersection. So that was recently opened up. And again, that was a partnership with the developer because they had the equipment on site. They were already working the area. And so we did a partnership with them and we were very happy to get that road opened up. Now downtown we have Richlands Plaza. This is originally designed as a 55-unit mixed-use project with 6,000 square feet of commercial. As you know, if you're downtown, buildings 1 to 6 have been completed. Buildings 7 to 11 are kind of to be determined. The whole project's approved. The 2-story residential, 2-story commercial is all approved, but their phasing is kind of slowed down. You know, sometimes developers just get hiccups. And so we're still hoping to work with the developer to get that project complete. All the buildings on site are complete and occupied, but the other buildings to be constructed on this site, particularly the multi-story commercial building set for the facade along Fate, Maine. We're hoping to get that built here before too long so we can add to our commercial offerings downtown. Infinity Marine. So this is down on the south side of I-30 on Industrial Boulevard. You guys might remember I think it was last month, right? There was an amendment to the specific use permit that authorized Infinity Marine to change a few of the conditions that were related to the site plan and some of the conditions on the site. But a couple months ago, Infinity Marine was happy to welcome us and some of their other community partners to their grand opening, their ribbon cutting. There were a lot of people there. It's a really nice facility. And so first phase, which is the maintenance and repair facility on lot 6, which is on the eastern side of the cul-de-sac at the end of Industrial Boulevard, that's open. Second phase is lot 5 to the west of the cul-de-sac. As you can see on the image on the right, they're building a storage facility for boats. Makes sense, you know, right across the street from the boat repair. And so they're gonna have covered and uncovered storage and hopefully have, you know, a lot of boats just kept there for easy access to I-30 and the lakes. Moving on the other side of I-30 and a little bit to the north, we have the Avondale Retail Center. So this was initially approved as part of the Avondale project, the whole Avondale plan development that entitled, meaning authorize the construction of or the development of all those single-family homes that I mentioned earlier. On the other side of Wood Creek Boulevard, there's a strip of land that was entitled for commercial development. And so you've probably seen quite a bit of earth moving out there. It's taken them a while, but you know, that's their thing. So Lot 1 up against State Highway 66 to be determined. That has not come in for any site plan work or anything like that, so we don't know exactly what's going to go in there yet. Lot 2 is a multi-tenant commercial. I think they were showing 5 suites in there, and so we're expecting to see some things manifest pretty soon there. And then Lot 3, which is the southernmost lot there, is going to be 11,000 square foot daycare for Celebrity School. It's I think it's a national franchise, but it's like a local owner of the school. All those businesses will take access from Wood Creek Boulevard, and they went in and did some improvements to Wood Creek to allow for the turning movements and safe access and egress from the site. Fate Village. So we all know Fate Village as the being anchored by Fresh by Brookshire's, and of course a lot of other development that has occurred there since then. This is a 33-acre mixed commercial development. Phase 1, which is everything that's been built so far, is all leased up, other than a couple of pad sites along I-30 where the former Salad and Go and the Chipotle are both located. There are about 2 other pads that we're starting to talk with the developer on getting those built up. Happily, where the Fate Village Tavern previously was, there was an announcement of a new ramen and hibachi restaurant, which I'm very excited about. And that's a great place for it too. So we really hope they come in and enjoy being part of this community and serve this community well. Phase 2, which is just to the kind of southwest of Phase 1, that's under the construction now. And so if you take basically everything, I'll try to show you on the image. Oops, sorry. If you take everything over here, so like from the Salad and Go and the Hot Works, everything there to the west, all that cluster of buildings, you take it and you just flip it 180 degrees. So just flip it right over. That's what Phase 2 is going to look like. They're basically going to mirror what Phase 1 looks like and build all the buildings that they are needing to have to support additional commercial development. Now, from what I understand from the developer, most of that is going to be spec development. So they're going to build the shells and then try to lease that all out. I don't know of a lot of users that have already kind of been committed to that project. Next, we have Iron Ranch. You guys have been hearing about this one for a while. I think this was one of the first projects I met a developer on when I first got here 5 years ago. But nonetheless, they are starting to get some action. On the south side of 30, kind of over by, what is that? What's that mini storage right there? Do you remember?
On which
On
side
30,
of it?
right next to Iron Ranch.
Rockwall Fate Self-Storage?
No, it's the other one. It's over by the Alamo. You guys
The
know what
blue and
Alamo
white
is.
one,
Yeah.
right?
No, it's between the Alamo and the, don't worry about it.
The self-storage place over there that we're referring to,
Yeah.
just know what we mean.
Yeah, it's over by the Alamo. So this is intended to be a 97-unit commercial and office suite and custom car garage development. There's this business out there called Garages of Texas. I think there's actually one being built in Rockwall. And it's kind of the same model. You have a bunch of suites that you can customize as far as the size goes. And then you also have these, what they call essentially glorified man caves, where you can, that's what they call it themselves. You can bring your fancy custom car, your sports car, keep it in there, keep it safe, and also just a place to hang out, I guess. But there's also a business incubator side of things where businesses can come in and lease out suites that are, expandable. So it starts out with a 1,950 square foot suite, but you can double it, triple it, quadruple it. So it's nice that it's adaptable. Nonetheless, they are starting their site construction now after a lot of infrastructure work, a lot of design work. So they're starting to make some progress.
It's Compass Self-Storage.
Compass, thank you very much. All right, Lafayette Crossing. So this again was previously initially approved in February of 2024. And you might recall just a couple weeks ago, you saw an amendment to the original plan development ordinance that was going to permit some pylon signs along I-30 to support the initial commercial phases of development, which is reflected in that central line drawing there. Of course, up here on the north, actually on the east end of the project, this building right here reflects the Kroger Marketplace, 100,000 square feet, which is going to be the first anchor in the development. Of course, you can see along 551 and I-30 a lot of pad sites and junior retail, which the developers are already starting to lock in some letters of interest and some commitments from different commercial services and restaurants and whatnot. There's also another large Fortune 10 department store, which we can't announce yet, but hopefully in the next couple of weeks that will come with a formal announcement. That's going to be the other anchor. So this 80-acre development is going to have 400,000 square feet of commercial right out the gate, which is a huge win for the early stage of this development, really starting to kick up the economic engine that we were expecting this to be. I think that's everything on that. Yeah, so additional commercial and QSR along, QSR I mean quick service retail, drive-throughs, that's industry talk, along I-30. So we expect a lot of these pads right here to probably be drive-throughs, not all of them, but most likely there'll be quite a few there. All right, shops at Wood Creek, moving further to the west. Here is State Highway 66 in Bend Payne, right next to the 7-Eleven that will eventually be open. And I can talk about that in a minute. There's 3 lots of commercial development fronting State Highway 66. This building here is the first one that will be up and running, we think. That's a multi-tenant building currently leasing. This lot 2 here is Beach Club Car Wash. Some of you who have been on P&Z for a while saw the site plan for that. That was a type 3 site plan, meaning a site plan that has to go to city council for approval. And then we expect another auto-oriented user, probably like an auto repair, quick lube type of user over on this lot here. So if you're curious about the 7-Eleven, I'll just tell you since you're here. There were 2 issues that were preventing the 7-Eleven from opening up. One was that there was the sewer line serving the development was put in poorly and it wasn't working. So they had to go in and replace the sewer line that they installed. The bigger issue, and one that's still holding them up, is that this access right here is a driveway that's also going to be serving 7-Eleven, which is right here. They have an access off of Bend Payne as well, but the main access, the one they're really relying on, is this driveway here. Well, they need to get a permit from TxDOT in order to get access from State Highway 66. They did previously have a permit, but then some changes to their project design require them to kind of go through the permitting process again. So that's where they are now. Building's built, and they're ready to go. But that permit from TxDOT is something that we're still trying to coordinate and get taken care of. All right, over on Memorial Parkway / FM 551, the Ashton Gray Shopping Center. This is a 9,500 square foot multi-tenant medical and commercial suite. You can see on the image that MB2 Dental and Jimmy John's are already locked into the space. There's also another up to 5,000 square feet available in the center of the building. I drive by there. I actually think they did a really nice job with their landscaping, which makes a nice street side presentation. But we expect these guys to be open here probably in the next few weeks. They're very close. Worthy Fate High School up on the north side of town on 552. This is a 468,000 square foot high school building, which it just still blows my mind every time I say it. With multiple program outbuildings, they're going to have a full operation ag barn, 3 football fields, baseball and softball fields, a multi-purpose facility, you name it, they got it. It's amazing. However, I will say that there were recently, there were some changes in state law related to property tax assessments for schools, which actually is affecting their overall budget for the project. So they're going to finish the high school, but they may not be able to finish all of the external facilities until later phases or later years. So nonetheless, the building itself, the high school building, is making good progress. They are still expecting to open fall of 2027 for, I think, 9th and 10th graders. In the meantime, the city has been trying to work alongside the school district and the county to facilitate the expansion of Miss May Drive. So that's what goes up by Miss May Vernon Elementary School, and then it stops at Prince Lane. Well, we acquired the property and have designed the project to extend that road up to 552 to what we're expecting to be a signalized intersection at Miss May/North King and 552 to allow for safe access for the students to the high school. So we're targeting getting that road done by the time and before, hopefully, the school is open for their first classes. Down here in downtown Fate, we have Huey's Coffee. This is a kind of a smaller site, but one we're looking forward to seeing open up. This is just a small drive-through and walk-up coffee shop, very local, business. There's one in Greenville, and I think there's one out in Mount Pleasant, I think. But they just have a couple of drive-throughs, but they're very popular. And so they're finishing up their planning review, their permitting right now. They're at the TxDOT stage, which is always kind of the last stage of the whole permitting process. They've gone through us first, and we make sure everything's looking good. And again, this is located on Crawford, just north of I-30. You can see 30 right here. Here's the specs, and here's where Lafayette Crossing is. So they're going to be in good company and good proximity to a lot of other businesses soon. A couple of months ago, the City Council, following the Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendation, approved a rezone of a 15-acre agricultural property to general commercial to support an owner, a family that wanted to use an existing building for a janitorial business. Well, since that was approved by council, the owner has worked primarily with Robbie to get through their working on their site plan process and get all the other requirements from the city taken care of so they can open their business and make use of that property that they have worked hard to make right for what they want to do with it. And this is just right up the road here on 66, just north of Willowbrook Lane. So you guys have probably seen, you've heard, we're getting a lot of private schools and daycares coming into town over the last maybe 3 years. We've seen 7, I think. Is that about 7 overall? Either open now, under construction, or in early stages of contemplation. But here are 3 that you're actually going to see pop up here soon. Lightbridge Academy, that's probably the one closest to being open, right next to that Ashton Gray Medtail on Memorial Parkway across from the Brookshires. They're really, really close to opening up. Celebrity School, I mentioned before, is part of that Avondale retail over here on Wood Creek Boulevard. And then just north of the 7-Eleven, there's Arca Montessori up here on Ben Payne. They're under construction now as well. So if you need to put your kids somewhere, man, you got plenty of options. And then 5-Star Storage Fate. This again is down here on Industrial Boulevard, south of I-30. This is a 3-story self-storage facility, 155,000 total square feet, and it's under construction now. The frame is going up. It's quite a significant edifice, and it's going to provide a lot of air-conditioned self-storage service for our community. So, and this actually did require some additional approval from P&Z. The last thing was y'all approving a Type 3 site plan because there were some variances from our standard design requirements that they were asking for, and so we did that through a site plan ultimately approved by City Council. So let's go back. Do you have any questions about those projects, or any other projects you've seen or heard about around town that you might have any questions about before I move to these very broad development myths that I wanted to mention real quick?
There's dirt being moved right next to Specs, like between the Gala and Specs.
Yes.
What is that going to be?
All right, so that's actually one I should have put in here. What's that one being called again? There's all these configurations. Fate.
I've got a map up. Where was that, Commissioner?
Just north of Specs, it's lot 5. It's the one that Tyler Alley.
Shops at Fate.
Okay, there's shops and Fate like this, and all the names, so it's hard for us to keep track. But Shops at Fate, it's about a 5,000 square foot, 3-suite commercial building facing Crawford, just north of Specs. There's going to likely be a restaurant in there and probably some commercial services. So they just started constructing like last week. So yeah, thank you for that one. Anything else?
Me and my big mouth, y'all will miss it. Just a comment, all that came with Stags, all the auto-related
Yeah.
things, is really impressive and the nicest service I've ever had. Like,
Good.
you just got to get an oil change or get your inspection, but it's just awesome to be able to do that in Fate. I
Yeah.
always had to go to Rockwall, and they're really, they built it nicer than it needed to be for a auto repair and a car wash.
It's pretty convenient, too.
Yeah, really well done.
Yeah, and so the rest of the site there is the Shops at Fate, which we just were talking about. Then there's one lot left, and we expect there's going to be a small local kind of specialty grocery, not any of the big names you're thinking about, but a local specialty grocery is looking at that site, and we're expecting them to take that last lot and, finish up that development on the northeast corner. All right, so now I'm going to jump into some development myths. These are ones you've heard. You probably know the answers, but again, I just wanted to make sure that it's all clear and out in the open. Y'all know some of the things that we deal with. So development myth number one, the city selects which businesses go where. You hear, why did they let a Chipotle? There's just one down the street. Why did they let a Chicken Express? We don't need that. I will just make clear that we do have the police powers of zoning land, meaning that we determine land uses across the city. Those can be city initiated, or they can be property owner requested. The decision is ultimately that of the city council to zone property. Zoning has a list of uses that are permitted within that zone. They can be solely residential, they can be solely commercial, they can be industrial, or they can be a mix of different uses depending on the zoning district applied to that property. But to the degree that there's a list of uses that are permitted, that's what the city regulates. We don't regulate whether, if daycare is allowed there, even if we think there's too many daycares in town, we have to honor the regulation that's in the code and permit that daycare. They still need to develop their site according to code. They still need to follow building code. But we can't say, oh, we don't like that brand. We don't like that franchise. Oh, there's another one that's too close. Other than very, paraphernalia, paraphernalia shops, like where they sell CBD and stuff like that, there's proximity limitations on that. But there's no proximity limitations on car washes or drive-throughs or things like that. So just want to make sure y'all know that that's kind of how it works. We can limit the uses of land, but we can't get that so granular down where we can say whether one type of restaurant can go there or one type of commercial service in general sense can go there or not. Development myth number two, the city needs to build all the infrastructure before approving new development. Now, in some cases, we do that. For one example, Wood Creek Boulevard, which connects State Highway 66 to I-30, that was built by the city early on in anticipation of Lafayette Crossing coming in and creating a bunch of new traffic. We have what's called a capital improvement plan, which lists out all of the streets, water, and sewer improvements that we intend to have done either by the city or in cooperation with the developer. So for example, that Gettysburg Boulevard street extension I was talking about, we could have gone and built that ourselves at some point, but we took advantage of the fact that there was a developer on the ground right there, and we could get it done in a more cost-effective manner. And so we worked out something with them to get that done. But most of the time, I'd say 90% of the time, infrastructure is built by the development that's coming in, by the development that's causing the need for that infrastructure to come in. The city simply doesn't have a bunch of money sitting around where we can go out there and build everything right now in anticipation of future development occurring. Again, with some exceptions, we built a 3 million gallon water storage tank at Ben Payne in 66. We didn't need all that water now, but we know that we're going to have that demand in the future. So we did build that in anticipation. So it's kind of a mix of preemptive and proactive infrastructure development where we know it needs to go, and also responsive development, coordinating and requiring things of development to make sure the infrastructure goes in place. And finally, number three, the city shouldn't approve ugly buildings. No, we shouldn't. I will say that we do have a reasonably robust list of architectural design standards that we enforce through Article 5 of our Unified Development Ordinance. They apply to residential and non-residential buildings. We can regulate things like building articulation, so you don't have just like a big old flat boring wall. Roof line articulation, so you have some cornices or just different types of features that create a more interesting roof line. We can require glazing, so we have a certain percentage of building facades that have to be glass or representative of windows. What we can't regulate is building materials. Back in 2019, the state legislature passed a law that removed the ability of cities to require certain building materials. So if you look at codes and even ordinances that the city had back in the 2015, 2016, we'd require 80% masonry on a building. We would not allow certain types of materials. Now, if a building is allowed by the International Residential Code or International Building Code, that's what we need to honor. We can't elevate our building materials requirements beyond that, per state law. And we've been able to make it work more or less with that limitation. But just know, the developers, the people building those buildings, they have a lot of latitude. We still work with them to try to get the best we can out of those developments, but we are certainly not intentionally approving any ugly buildings, I promise you that. So I just want to share some of that with you. Do you guys have any questions? Or, yeah, Terry?
People have asked me about possibility of getting some banks around here.
Uh-huh.
Do we have anything going in that direction? Do we approach them, or do we have to wait until they say, oh, yeah?
Well, without getting into too much detail, because I operate under a cloak of expected non-disclosure for a lot of things, there is a bank that is likely going to be coming right here across the street. It was something that had previously been approved, then disappeared for a couple years, and I just got news last week that they're coming back. So it's right across the street there. I've also spoken with the developer of Lafayette Crossing. They've had about 4 banks call them. We're not going to have 4 banks lined up along the highway, but I do expect that there are a couple well-known banks that are going to be making a presence in Lafayette Crossing and some of these other highway-oriented developments coming our way.
The other question is, has anybody done an estimation of the population when all of these dwellings are completed? Do we know what it's pushing, and are we going to
Sure.
bump any laws as far as being a small town at that point?
I'll get to the second question in a moment, but of course we do want to think about what our population is going to be and how we're going to accommodate that. If you look at the 2021 Forward Fate Comprehensive Plan, we actually do a population projection in 2040, and that's about 50,297, thereabouts. And so when we developed the plan, we looked at that population projection and then worked backwards. How many homes do we need in order to house those people? And how do we build a city to support that? So that's as far as we got with our population projection. That's very confident. I've got a spreadsheet that goes all the way out to 2080 with very incremental population growth. At some point, you just get too squeezed and you're not going to see much growth. But to be honest, I don't see that happening anytime soon. We have a lot of land here. There's still a lot of demand. So I think people are still going to want to come into this area, Rockwall, Royce City, and Fate. So, and your second question was, can you repeat your second question?
Somewhere I've either read or been told that, like, when you hit 30,000, the laws change. And I'm not even sure in what regards to.
Brett, I bet you know.
Yeah, I would ask our city council members to ask city council. I know what that's referring to, but I'm not going to try to give a legal answer from
sure.
this position.
Sure.
But it has to do with tax rates is all I'm going to say. I think quite frankly with how we operate, it's not going to matter for us too strongly. And I think we operate towards like voter approval anyway. So it's not, it
I know what
really,
you're talking about, yeah.
it doesn't,
De minimis.
it's not, the way we operate isn't really going to make any sort of structural changes for us or anything.
Yeah.
One
And-
last question. I'm not sure when the next census is. Is it 2030?
2030.
Has anybody worked an estimate up to that and looked at that and see where we're going to be?
Can I take that one?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so yearly, I get contacted by a couple different agencies, one out of UTSA, one for NCT COG, that's the North Central Texas Council of Governments, and then Census Bureau does reach out, not the main census you're thinking of, but other adjustments. And each one uses their own formula, but yearly we have to give them, all our building data, and using a formula in there, they give us a population estimate. So yearly we do get those, and generally all three of those surveys come in about the same number.
And Texas demographic,
That one's the UTSA.
San Antonio?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, so, I'm sure we'll get a little bit more busy as we get closer to 2030. And we'll take an active role in all that. We do get also requests of, from the Census Bureau, and Robbie was mentioning this, to correct their data. And so they send us their data and say, this look good to you? And we do our best to kind of read through it, and, hey, you missed this, or this doesn't look quite right. But, I mean, they're the demographers, we're not demographers. So we, to some degree, just kind of put our faith in that they're using the right methodologies there.
Yeah, I can confirm it's usually almost spot on.
Yeah.
Within a couple hundred margin of error.
Yeah.
Just a comment on what Terry asked about 30,000. I have often heard, it came up a lot under Mayor Billings, when he'd quote a lot, state legislature often deals with a $300,000 not $300,000.
Population?
300,000 population. And, because I'd get a little miffed if he'd be maybe speaking of something, and I'd look at the statute and I'd think, well, that's for 300,000 and greater. We're never going to be that. I've always heard fate will cap out around 50,000, but I've never heard of different laws you operate under for being 30,000. So I'd be curious to know what that is too.
It's just a voter-approved tax rate. We don't really, I mean, it has to do with the way, like, tax increases work, but I mean, it's not, I don't think it really changes anything fundamentally with the way we work, like.
Yeah, it doesn't have anything to do with development or.
Yeah, and fundamentally, I mean, yeah, fundamentally, it's not really gonna change much.
Yeah.
Like, the average citizen won't notice. They will like the fact that they get an extra vote for tax increases, but that's really kind of the only change is how that works. There's less, you have less leeway once you reach 30,000 to increase taxes. You can feel however you want to about that.
And to Karen's point, there are just some laws related to cities and land use and regulations that only apply to cities like 250,000 or greater, or things like that. So we don't really pay too much attention to those ones when they get presented. Any other questions related to the presentation, developments, any other projects? I'm really glad we had a chance to just have a little bit of a free-form conversation. Yeah, Brett?
No, sorry, I just leaned too close to the mic. I just get too close to it. Sorry.
Okay.
One quick comment on the 7-Eleven, much like the reaction we got from many on Kroger, like, oh, horrors of Kroger. I thought, who could dislike a grocery store? But there were all sorts of social media horrors about, oh, a 7-Eleven. Well, then it got delayed, and now on social media, all you heard, when is that 7-Eleven opening? Like, they can't live without the 7-Eleven that the same people were kvetching about. So maybe an inadvertent delay is a good thing. It builds up some sort of desire.
We'll do that with all our projects. I'm sure that'll work out. Well, again, thank you for your attention tonight, and please just know that our staff are always available. If you have a question, feel free to email us, you stop by, and we'll be happy to answer any questions, have a chat with you. So thank you very much.
Yeah. Ryan, thank you very much. That was quite helpful. Does anyone have anything else to discuss at all? With that,
We do have one more item. Item 5, Director of Planning and Development Services, report announcements pertaining to city activities, upcoming events, future legislative activities, and other matters related thereto. If Ryan still has some wind in him.
Okay, just one thing. We've selected a consultant firm to help us with the comp plan update. We're going into negotiations on the contract. We'll be kicking off this spring. Would love all y'all to help us be advocates and champions for that process. I'll give you updates more when we get our scope and our schedule together. But it's going to be a busy year for us, and we'd love to have you guys participate as much as you're able. Thank you.
all right, now, with that,
Item 6, adjournment.
Yeah, I'll take a motion. Tammy, you want to make a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
With that, all vote. Motion passes. It is 6:45.